Migrants leave home, family, friends, everything that feels familiar to them. Yet, despite having no social network in their new home, English being their second or third language, many of them are doing well, getting employed, buy a house, start a family, things that some locals find it hard. As a first-gen migrant myself, I count myself doing okay. I don't have to worry about roof over my head, I have a job, and I never get behind my bills. Yes, some migrants bring tons of money and start a business. But I'm not going to talk that sort of migrants here. I'm talking about the migrants that come here on skills-based visa or sponsored by their spouse. In this video, I'm going to share my own personal observation why many Asian migrants are doing better than the locals despite having a late start. I don't want to make it racial, and you definitely don't want to trust a random Asian guy in the internet. My hope is my Western friends out there get an insight why many Asian migrants are thriving in Western countries. As usual, all the reference and the new links are in description below. Let's start from the things that locals have an advantage over migrants. The first obvious one is there's no language barrier. That means that locals have a greater choice of career. When applying for a corporate job for the first time, I remember freaking out to see almost every job requires strong communication skills, even though it's a non-facing customer role, like this financial accounting role. I graduated from the local university and I passed the IELTS test. IELTS test is a test for English as a second language for those who don't know it. But still, I knew that my English is not up to where I want to be. Second, because locals grow up here, they tend to have a better network. I have seen locals get a job from their high school mates. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as they're qualified. This is real world. Sometimes it's who you know, not what you know. Now, I'm not saying that locals necessarily have it easier to secure opportunity. What I try to say is those two factors alone mean migrants start at lower baseline and need to work at least 3 times harder than the locals. With that in mind, let's get started why some Asian migrants do better than locals. First, we have collective mindset. Let me give you one little example. At work, in team lunch, you might notice that Asians are more willing to order food together and split the bills evenly among themselves, while Westerners tend to order their own meal and pay their own meal. I even had one guy complaining to me saying it's not fair that they split bills because he didn't even eat that much. And have you ever wondered how those young families with stay-at-home wife with a modest job can afford $1 million house? Westerners see them as a couple buying a house. Asians see a family buying a house. By family, I'm talking about grandparents from both sides of the couple. One grandparent told me it doesn't make sense to pass inheritance once they're gone, while their adult kids need the money the most now. Parents helping their kids to buy a house is making news in Western countries. They are called the bank of mom and dad. For Asians, we just call them family. I will go as far as saying that collective mindset is a competitive advantage in individualistic culture. In Indonesia, we have a microfinance scheme called Arisan, where people, usually close friends or neighbors, pool their money and lend it among themselves in rotations, purely based on trust. Bhutanese community in Sydney also has their own microfinance that works in similar way. They use it to beat Sydney housing market, one of the most expensive in the world, with 78% of them own their own home, according to Australian Bhutanese associations. Koreans in America also have their own type of Arisan, as this BBC article shows. And the best part of it, no interest involved, usually. Now, can you picture a Westerner doing Arisan? Well, good luck to you convincing them to join you. Second, we don't take things for granted. It's no secret that there's some industry that rely heavily on migrants because locals don't find the work attractive, because it's seasonal work, or because companies can't find qualified locals to fill in the vacancy. Fruit picking tops the list according to ABS Census 2021. From anecdotal experience living in Sydney, most aged care or nursing home workers are foreign-born. So I asked one of the nurses why. Her response was, "Can you imagine an Aussie-born locals wiping seniors' bum?" To be fair, being a nurse is not her first career preference. It's a tough job. Her overseas professional qualification is not recognized, and she has no local professional experience. She takes the job just because that's the only feasible opportunity for her circumstance and she's grateful for that. On the news, we have people like Daniel Hu, son of Chinese migrants. He experienced language barrier in his early school and grew up in poverty. Despite all of that, he still managed to achieve 99.88 ATAR, Australian Territory Admission rank in year 12. He's only 10 points shy away from the highest possible score. He accomplished this through hard work and credit his parents' selfless love, support, and sacrifice. For me, he's the epitome of migrants' hard work success story. And I know that because there's a lot of other Daniel Hu's out there in Asian community. Third, we master the art of the saving. It comes from the fact that we arrive in a new country with a suitcase and some money. If you have ever been to a house with backyard where the old first-gen Chinese migrants live, there's a good chance that their garden is productive with fruits and veggies. While average Joe likes to flex by flexing expensive stuff, we Asians love to flex by telling you how little we pay. I hand it over to Jimmy to explain.
Like white people, for example. White people never brag about how much money they got. They always just brag about how expensive their life is. Like, oh, Joey just started private school. It's so expensive. And our remodel is totally going over budget. Oh, and you wouldn't believe how much money we spent going to Fiji. I'm like, okay, Katie, I see your life, okay? It's a luxurious. Good for you, okay. Asian people, on the other hand, we do the exact opposite. We love to brag about how little money we spent on something. Because the art is in the savings. You never pay full price. Like my mom, her catchphrase is, guess how much? Guess how much? Yeah, that's our people. You guys ever play guess how much? My mom would come home with something new, like a watch. She would be like, Jimmy, guess how much? Guess how much? I'm like, Mom, I don't know. It's a very nice watch, like $5,000. And she was like, no, it's $200. Jimmy, my house, this house, guess how much? Guess how much? I'm like, Mom, I don't know. You live in a very nice house, like $1 million? She was like, no, it's half off. Someone died in it. And if you know the rules of the game, you always guess high. So you make the other person feel good about their purchases. Never guess too low. If you ever guess too low, that's the ultimate insult to an Asian person, okay? One time my mom came home with some new shoes. I guessed too low. I've never seen her so disappointed in me. She's like, Jimmy, guess how much? Guess how much? I'm like, Mom, I don't know, very nice shoes, like $200. She was like, oh, you. Do you even know about shoes? These are $500 Jimmy shoes, okay? Better Jimmy than you.
You see in the comment sections, this mindset is partly the reason why Asians are doing well in America. Growing up, I have always thought that don't spend more than you need to, get the best possible deal, only buy things that you can afford, live within your means are all common sense. After living in Australia, then I realized this mindset mainly applies to Chinese and Indian migrants, the first generations. Regular middle-class Westerners tend to be more liberal with the spendings, work hard on the weekdays, and blow them up on the weekend, on the booze, birthday, holiday, and Christmas. I'm not judging here. Their money, their choice. And of course, not everyone got the luxury to do that. I just share what I observe. So, do you agree with my observations? Please leave a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please give it a like and subscribe if you learned something new. And I will see you next time. Bye.